This weight loss has been the most painful thing I've ever experienced. I've always been very conscious of my weight, like as far as eating healthy and getting exercise. And so weight wasn't something I was focused on.
You weren't looking to lose weight.
My 5 daughters, I feel like they've been raised in a society that is so focused on Instagram bodies.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's become even more ridiculous.
Yes.
I've chosen to say no to Ozempic.
That's
even though
awesome.
my doctor has offered it to me twice.
That's so interesting to me too, because I think we as a society have lost focus of what is healthy.
Today we're going to be starting interviews about our series where voices are heard. I will be interviewing regular people sharing their journeys about weight loss and quick fix solutions such as Wegovy and Ozempic. Thank you so much for joining me. Today I will be interviewing Jenny, and I look forward to hearing her story. Thank you so much for joining me today.
No problem.
You and I had a conversation recently about what you've been through with your health, losing a lot of weight. And I was hoping you could share that story with us today.
Sure. It's kind of funny because ironically, you would think that a weight loss conversation is something that everybody's like, yay, you look so great. And it usually is a positive thing. But this time in my life, it was something that was less of a positive experience than I've had in the past. And as you said, when we were having the conversation, you thought, okay, you're looking great, you're exercising, I've changed something in my diet, but I actually have lost the weight because of a vagus nerve injury. And like when we were talking about that, it brought up a lot of other subjects. So do you want me to just keep sharing about how this came about?
And also, can you tell us what a vagus nerve injury is?
Yes, a vagus nerve is kind of your mastermind nerve that it comes from right here in the base of your neck, and it branches down both sides of your spinal cord and comes down and controls. I'm amazed at everything that it controls. And I knew about the vagus nerve because of the work that I did in physical therapy and massage for many, many years. But I didn't understand the impact that it has on every system in your body, especially your visceral system. It controls all of your internal organs and the things that you don't have to think about, like your heart beating, your intestines working.
Just the body function.
Yeah, the body functions. And specifically, one thing that it was totally new to me was that it controls it can be all the way down your esophagus and swallowing motions, but also your stomach movement, your ability to digest food. And so my vagus nerve was damaged actually throughout my life a few different times. And I broke my neck when I was very young in a freak dancing accident. And then I had Lyme disease for many, many years. So that weakened my whole nervous system. I've been very diligent to heal my body, to eat right, do the things that it takes to stay healthy because I had a lot of neurological issues. Then about 2 years ago, I was driving home one day, just minding my own business, and was in a freak drunk driving accident. Wow. The drunk driver hit me from behind. I was at a full stop, and it was a rainy day. He came around a corner going as fast as he could, slammed into the back of me, and the whiplash was so severe that I just took all of it in my neck. And the other crazy part of the story is that I knew, because of the therapies that I've done throughout my life, that you don't go and have work done on an injury for your neck immediately. So I was waiting the 3-day period for the swelling to go down and everything to kind of get to a better place. And then I was going to go into the doctor. During that time, we had a house fire.
Oh my gosh.
I know. And so here I was like, okay, my neck, this is a really bad thing, something that I need help with. Right. I need to get into the doctor. Right. Somehow the universe had something that trumped the drunk driving neck injury. And so Yeah, so we were vacated, we were on the road, traveling for 4 months, and in all of that stress and trauma, I actually had to just put my neck injury on a shelf.
Wow.
And it was just survival mode to get my kids and everybody safe and just do everything that needed to happen. So during our travels, I started, and I hope, for lack of better terms, and we're talking about weight loss, so that it involves a lot of internal things happening, right?
You can get gross if you want.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to get gross, but it's like the book Everybody Poops, right?
Brilliant book.
I know, right? So my body, I thought for sure it was just from the stress, which, by the way, I also did learn that a vagus nerve is your stress filter. So you know how when you're scared or nervous, what happens?
Right.
You get butterflies in your stomach, or you feel sick, like you throw up.
So Jenny, is if you know the answer to this, is a vasovagal response similar?
Yes, it is. That's the whole root of that word.
Okay.
And it's because you have constriction that happens, and it's like your whole body's like, hey, digestion is not important right now. Fight or flight. Turn all that off. And let's survive. Yeah, let's focus on the heart and the brain.
Right, because my elderly mother has had 2 vasovagal responses where she's passed out on the toilet.
Exactly.
Like 1 second she's, alert and awake, and the next minute she's not. It's a terrifying thing to watch.
Yeah. It's amazing what this nerve does and what it controls. It's like the mastermind of all nerves. And so I guess in all of my pushing it all down, all the stress, all of the things in life that was happening, it absolutely fried my vagus nerve because it was already injured. And then the stress compounding on that was so much worse. And so we were on the road going between hotels and family members and different things. And I all of a sudden lost the ability to hold food in my intestines.
Oh my gosh.
I literally would eat and within a few minutes have to be in the bathroom. Everything just ran right through me. And it didn't matter what kind of solid it was. I mean, you do the whole brat diet, rice, bread, anything. I mean, cement. It has to stick in me. And it would just immediately run through my body, reject food.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, that's concerning. Obviously a stress response, I thought at the time. And that I self-treated at the time because I was like, you know what, this has just got to be a stress thing. But I realized I was holding if it was liquid. So I just started drinking protein drinks, high nourishing liquid, and I could have any kind of liquid. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll just do my juice fast liquid diet right now. It's got to,
Jenny, let me ask you this. So you were saying that you could only handle liquids?
Yes.
So you couldn't eat any solid food?
0 solid food at that time, and only liquids would stay in me. I wouldn't have, which was weird because even juices I would think would just go through me, but it was only when I ate solids. Isn't that strange?
Oh my gosh, how strange.
Yeah, so I went on a 2 weeks of just liquids, and then I started to be able to eat again. And I thought, okay, this is interesting. This happened 2 times, and it was in the course of our coming back here, doing our rebuilding. I knew it was a stress response also, and had to do with my nerves, because the day that our bathroom upstairs, all of our slate cracked because of the house being left cold. And we turned on the shower, and we had just gotten through all of the, basic rebuild stuff. And then the shower cracked because of the house settling during us being vacant. And when the water came through the ceiling, it was one of those days that it was like we had just gotten to this point where we can breathe. And then it just all came crashing down. And again, I lost the ability to hold food. And I was like, okay, this is definitely a stress response.
Yes.
So at that point, again, 2 weeks, and then I was able to eat again. But I had to just do liquids, no solids.
Wow.
And then I thought, okay, I'm okay. I'm fine. I got past the stress. Well, this whole experience happened over about close to a year. And it was during October time, I remember, because it was like Halloween. I thought, okay, this is just crazy, because it was Halloween day or something like that. And the last thing that I ate that I was okay with was a baked potato at someone's house. And then everything I would eat, I would start rejecting, but it wasn't going through me. Then it was just like a jerking in my stomach. It felt like a spasm, but I wouldn't say that it was a spasm because my muscle wasn't working right. In my stomach itself couldn't spasm. I started losing the ability to eat everything and drink even.
Oh my gosh.
It's been the weirdest experience. And it has been a year where I would lose certain things where I could only eat baked potato.
Wow.
That's all. And then, I couldn't drink anything but maybe some water. Then it changed and it would be like, okay, I definitely still cannot drink any kind of milk or eat any dairy. It kind of ebbs and flows. Like there are times where my bowel would not cooperate and everything would go through me again. There are other times that if I put something literally like in my mouth and swallow, I'd have a violent jerking reaction to the point I start dry heaving and I'm throwing up over the toilet. If I was excited and I was like, oh, I ate a whole potato tonight, it was too much. And I'd be up all night throwing up all night and dry heaving violently. It's like my whole digestive system rejected everything. And it was an experiment. I mean, people are like, well, what can you eat? What can't you eat? I'm like, I don't know today.
Right. It probably changed day to day.
Yeah.
Wow. So Jenny, tell me, how much weight did you lose because of this?
It has gone up and down, but initially it was like 30, 35 pounds. And I'm not a huge person. Like I've always been very conscious of my weight, like as far as eating healthy and getting exercise. And so weight wasn't something I was focused on.
You weren't looking to lose weight.
I mean, who doesn't want to fit in their smallest jeans? But it wasn't something that I feel like I've made a huge focus because I feel like if you're healthy, and you're happy.
Which is the most important thing.
Right? Yeah, and I have daughters. I mean, I have 5 daughters and 3 sons, but my 5 daughters, I feel like they've been raised in a society that is so focused on Instagram bodies.
Oh, absolutely. And it's become even more ridiculous because of Instagram and TikTok and all of that.
Huge. Yes. And there are times that I've been watching my daughters where they will turn off Instagram and Facebook just to have mental health.
Good for them.
That they can handle it. And it's hard. It's not easy.
No, but I understand what you're talking about, Jenny, because for me personally, I blew up during the pandemic, partially because I was turning to bad food for comfort, fast food, which I'd never consumed prior to that, and I was in menopause. So I blew up. I gained 55 pounds over like a 2 to 3 year period. I'm down 20, and
that's awesome.
Thank you. But the thing is, and you and I have talked about this, I'm fine if it takes me another 2 to 3 years to lose the weight. And I've chosen to say no to Ozempic, even though my doctor has offered it to me twice.
That's so interesting to me too, because I think we as a society have lost focus of what is healthy. What is healthy? You know, and we're so focused on so many fad diets of all gluten-free or vegan, or, you know, it has to be, everything is an extreme and it's all focused on the smallest waistline. I don't think, a lot of them it's like, oh, I'm being healthy, when I really don't think that is the focus. It really is about the pant size. And like I said, I'm very intentional about it with my daughters, especially. They are not large-figured girls. They're small girls. And all through high school, it was such a struggle for them because they were constantly trying to gain weight. They were both on a rugby team. 2 of my daughters were on rugby teams. My one daughter could not gain weight to save her life. And it was interesting because when they were on their rugby team, they were criticized because they were the smallest girls on the team. So size was a really powerful thing in their universe. And they were so excited when I hit 135. Oh my gosh, you know, and they were strong. They were, you know, national champion teams, captain of the team, really surprised strength. And part of that, I believe, is not focusing on weight, them eating really healthy, exercising really well. So the biggest struggle I think for them is hit post-high school, when they were no longer in rugby. Everything was on the shelf with COVID. They couldn't play rugby on a team. they both went to serve LDS missions for our church. So they were doing service, but not focused on, the girly things. And now that they're home and college age, there is, like you said, the blow up with Instagram and everything's like, what does our body look like? And they both have we were athletic. We were doing 3 exercise classes a day plus working out all night and working, and so they never had thought about it before. And now it's like, oh, they're becoming women and they have curves and they don't wear the same things that they wore in high school. And the bikini doesn't look the way it did when they were 16.
Right.
And it's very tempting to beat yourself up about it and to feel like a failure.
Right.
Yeah. And I've just worked so hard with them, especially these last few years, to just focus on the beauty inside.
Absolutely. It's so important. And, I say this jokingly, but it's helped me come to terms with how my body looked for the longest time.
Right.
My body literally, this area looked like Jabba the Hutt. It really did. And I'm still at a point where no one's ever going to see me, in a bathing suit or a bikini. Possibly never again, and I'm okay with that.
But isn't it interesting? In some cultures, see, you would say this looked like Jabba the Hutt. In other cultures, in other countries, this would look like a very strong, healthy, wealthy woman who has enough to eat.
Yes. Yes.
And it's not a negative thing.
No, and you honor that about yourself.
And you honor that about yourself.
Absolutely.
But where we are, it's never thought of positively. No. And you and I had this conversation when we were talking. It's so funny because you came to pick something up and we were just talking about weight. And you were, we were talking about how it is a positive thing that we've both lost weight because I'm sure I obviously had weight to lose. But the fact, it was funny that I turned to tears.
Yes.
I was crying in our conversation because this weight loss has been the most painful thing I've ever experienced.
I'm so sorry. So this is the actual perfect segue because I wanted to talk about our prior conversation about society's pressure to be thin. We will get to this next about the dirty the dirty little secret in Hollywood.
Oh yeah.
There's so much body shaming that's going on. I'd like to talk about how your experience losing a lot of weight and how people were perceiving you.
Oh yeah, this is huge, and it woke me up to I don't know. It was just like I walked through a door that I didn't know was ever there because I haven't had huge weight loss experiences in the past. I mean, I've had babies, so obviously the baby came out and the weight came off. But I didn't struggle with it because I've always been very health conscious because of having the Lyme disease and things like that. So weight was not an issue, but I was a normal, healthy weight. But what was so strange to me is how many people have been like, oh my gosh, girl, you look great. And holy cow, I wish I was wearing those jeans. What have you been doing, girl? You look amazing. This is during a time of my life that I have been so sick. Like I've had a lot of health problems, a lot of injuries, things that have been very difficult. Even Lyme disease. I mean, that was 16 years of medications and all these different things. And I can still say this was harder. I literally had paralysis of my whole body at one point from the neck down and pain that was horrific. And this was still harder.
Unbelievable. So basically what you're saying, Jenny, is this has been the worst experience you've had in your life with your health.
Yes.
And yet the reaction and the perception from other people is, oh, look at the great gift you got and the bonus because you're thin.
Yeah, and most people have no idea that I'm suffering, that I am having a problem. I've had to actually pull away because it is a vagus nerve injury. Anything that causes stress in my life. I even quit going to my church congregation because there were certain personalities that caused stress in my life. I went to, I had to quit my book club that was enjoyable for me because every time they brought food out, that created stress in my life. And I just I didn't recluse, but I chose to say no. And when I was home, there were many, many nights, and my husband can vouch for this, that I have just cried myself to sleep. I have been so frustrated and so in pain because you're basically starving yourself. Every day you want to eat. Everything in society is around gathering to eat, making treats, bringing something, and you have to walk away from food, even healthy food. And that, I think, is the hardest thing for me, because the biggest triggers are anything with fiber, any vegetable, anything that's alive that tells your stomach to digest, absolutely makes me, it bloats my stomach up. It makes it to where I start the throwing up really bad. So really, the things that I could eat were things I've never eaten in my life, like a piece of a Pop-Tart or an Oreo, because your body doesn't recognize it.
You mentioned that to me, that foods that you normally wouldn't eat, which are super processed, are things that your body can tolerate.
Yeah, like on our anniversary, we were in Port Townsend. I just wanted so badly to have a slice of pizza with my husband, or just something, or going down. And the only thing I could eat was a few Cheetos.
Wow.
Literally, and that was the whole day. And I still have a picture of myself holding a Cheeto, like anniversary dinner, and just tears streaming down my face, because it was such a shift. And even being able to accept that the Cheeto was helping me, because my mindset, again, was this is healthy, this is not. And I had to accept calories wherever I could take them. And, but that mindset also of like, you're skinny, you're healthy, has totally shifted for me. I have quit complimenting people on their weight.
Yeah.
Because I realized that somebody else may have lost weight for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
And guess what? Their value in my life has not changed because their pant size did.
Yeah.
If they bring it up and they want to talk about their weight loss journey, I'll celebrate with them. That's how it happened with you. You told me about what you're doing and writing a book about losing weight and not using Ozempic.
Yeah.
Then I celebrated with you on your journey and how it's happening. But on the converse, like when we were talking, you and I brought up that I had lost weight as well. You didn't come forth and say that, which I appreciated. And I think you complimented my pants, that they were cute.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was a great way to, compliment somebody on their appearance without making it about their body. But when I brought it up and we had the conversation, it brought up all of the emotion of what I had been through. And you, I know, had no idea what I'd been through.
No.
And we talk, we see each other, whatever.
Sure.
But it's been a definite suffer in silence kind of thing, because I want to conquer this and not my life be, oh, I have this issue. Everybody look at me. Everybody feel uncomfortable, and like you have to do something. And so I've taken it as a step in my journey that I get to learn from. And I have learned a lot in it. And so I wouldn't, at this point, I wouldn't change it.
Yes.
I'm learning tools. I'm learning how to find vitamins and healthy things that I can do. And like we were talking about, I found a site called for Gastroparesis support group.
Yes.
And Gastroparesis is the title of what actually is going on inside of me. And it's basically a paralyzed stomach. And that can happen on any level. Gastroparesis can be just the stomach. It can be all the way up through your esophagus. You can have paralysis or into your intestines. So this group, I joined because actually I have a few doctors. Every doctor that I spoke to, the prognosis or what they would do to give me official treatment was way worse than just living with it. Like cutting out part of your stomach, and that may or may not work, or having an ostomy bag, like taking out part of your intestines. And there's a lot of medications that they can give you that are very hit and miss. So I started studying other people's experiences, and I realized it's kind of funny because I started the first support group in Utah for Lyme disease, the Utah Lyme Disease Association, because our doctors weren't sure how to treat us. And so I was like, I'm going to use the same footprint for my journey right now. And there was a group for gastroparesis to give me support and say, okay, what have you guys done? to get help. And I learned when I was in this group a lot of tools for how to eat and not eat, timing it, not eating after 4, drinking this and not drinking that, just tricks and also support, like, okay, I'm not crazy.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I am not crazy. Because looks like I'm anorexic and I only want to eat an Oreo today.
Right, you're not crazy.
Or Cheetos.
Right, like I really want to eat one Cheeto today.
That's
because
just me.
I want to be as skinny as possible.
Yes, and a lot of us are labeled as somebody who is anorexic, and even my daughters,
or has an eating disorder.
Yeah. I can say you can easily go into, I can't remember the word for it, but there's a fear of food.
Oh.
You can very easily go into that, and I'll have to look up the name again.
Okay.
But you become very afraid to eat because of the consequence. And so people will be like, well, I can't eat in front of you. I'm like, honey, it's not even tempting. What that will do to me has made me, it's like when you throw something up repeatedly, you never want to, it's not even tempting.
It's not even on the table.
The smell is nauseating.
Yeah.
So,
Jenny, let's talk about Hollywood's dirty little secret. Thank you for watching this incredible story. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Until next time, be well.